Hey, we are back, Rogue Bunnies Mayhem. We are so excited. We've been wanting to do this show for such a long time, and we finally got her. You know her as Jennifer Walcott. Well, we've got Jennifer Archuleta. Look at that. Thank you. I did it. I did it. Hey, Jen, welcome, man. Welcome to the Mayhem.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. We had a rough start with my technical issues, but thanks for helping me iron them out, and I'm just glad to be here.
No worries. It happens.
So yeah, man. So I'm excited. I hear that you are starting your own podcast as well.
Yeah, tell us about the name of it and everything.
So it's called Unfiltered, and I just felt like, I'm going to be 50 in, gosh, almost 2 years, and so time is just flying by, and I have a bucket list of things I want to do. I'm not necessarily probably going to have millions of followers, although I hope so, but it's just something I've wanted to do, and everybody's always said I had a great story. And, a lot of times I would just, get on airplanes and tell strangers my story because I was afraid to fly, and they'd be like, you should write a book. So I am writing a book, but also I just thought the podcast is a great way to give people that have great stories. You've heard those stories in bars, on airplanes, in passing, and sometimes people just need a platform to tell their amazing story, and we all have them. And I want it to be unfiltered because I feel like everything these days is just, it's just not true. We're living in we're living in a facade. And so I just want to get back to basics and just like get to know people and just hear their story.
So is it all topics? Are you gonna cover any topics, all topics, or what's your plan?
It's all topics. It would be like, I have a ex FBI agent friend that I would ask security questions and how we could, be safer in the world that we're living in. I'd love to interview maybe an ex-coach of my husband's and just talk about how things were in the NFL and how different things are with the players nowadays and how hard or is it easier to make it. And I want to, talk to moms, maybe some of my ex-NFL, wives that, they are now divorced with their husbands. What happened? Was it concussions? Was it just the lifestyle? Was it him getting out of the lifestyle? So just those kind of things, topics, all different things. And I just want to, I think that'll too give me a lot of different followers.
Yeah.
FBI agents, some coaches.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
cool.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. What's your book going to be about?
So my book is really about my life story. And like I said, we all have them and everybody has a great story. And it's just called Beyond the Velvet Ropes. I think we all think that once we get, and we've all been there, all of us here, once we get behind the velvet ropes, things are going to be, better or easier. And if you have money or you have a little bit of fame or, you're around all these celebrities and things like that, the grass is not greener. I've had it all.
So true.
And so I just think that like telling people my story of I grew up, like in a neighborhood that was not very well off. I struggled in school. I moved across country when I was 18. I had a lot of trauma in my life. And I think just showing where I am now, I've been married for over 20 years. I feel like I'm finally a whole person. And I think I've had dark days in the past. I'm sure many of you were part of that. But I feel like I'm healthy and I'm whole. And it just didn't happen overnight, but it happened, through me telling my story and healing through it.
Well, what do you mean by dark days? Do you mean like in the profession, or do you mean like personal?
I think like personal, it's just, a little bit of my story is just about how I grew up and, going to a school that was almost like Dangerous Minds where, you're getting your butt kicked every day at a fight.
Wow.
Every day I would wake up and I would just get ready to go to school and hope and pray that you didn't get in a fight or, I never learned anything. I never wanted to go to school. And then I started working at 12 years old. I was busting tables and washing dishes. I was selling vacuums door to door, and nobody in Youngstown, Ohio.
Wow.
I was always a hustler. I still am. And, I was assaulted at a young age sexually.
Ooh.
And I think to me, all of that, there were some positives in it and it brought me to where I am. And I'm not I'm not, you know, obviously when those bad things happen, you know, they're terrible.
But what do you mean positives in that? Because this
Well,
sounds horrible. I mean, like these are traumatic
Well, she
things that
wanted to
have
tell
happened to
the
you.
learning experience that comes
Yeah.
out.
Okay,
well,
okay.
and also like most people at my high school, you know, they became young moms. They were pregnant at young ages. I was so afraid of sex, and I was so afraid of, you know, men at that time in my life that it, you know, it just kept me, you know, like I just didn't really have a boyfriend, you know, or I did. And it wasn't like that kind of romantic relationship that a lot of people got in trouble and got distracted with. And, you know, I was with a man who was abusive towards me and
Oh man.
hurt me and my dogs. And, you know,
Oh
he
yeah,
got,
I remember.
yeah, and he got arrested. And I couldn't get away from him had it not been for Playboy and my Playboy family and the little bit of fame that it gave me. And so those bad things happened, but I wouldn't take any of them back because they brought me to where I am. And I think that people have to understand that sometimes you have to go through the storm in order to see, you know, the sunshine. And although I wouldn't want that to happen to anybody, I would not have met my husband had it not been for this man that abused me. And being able to be at Playboy the time that I was, my husband wouldn't have saw me on Wild on E and said I need to meet that girl. There's so many things that had to come together, and some of it was, and I would take that any day to have the life and the love that I have now.
Speaking of which, Jen, I remember you got stalked, cyber stalked, and you actually brought it to court. You got arrested, and you kind of set a precedence for that sort of behavior with on social media and stuff. You had it was God, I don't remember what year it was, 2005 or 2006 or 7 maybe. And you had someone he was going after a bunch of different playmates, but specifically he was really after you, and he got caught. You helped get him caught, and he actually got tried and went to jail. But it also set a precedent going forward, not only with Playboy, but just on social media and stuff, where that became an unacceptable behavior as part of stalking laws go. There wasn't any on social media at the time, but there became social media stuff after that had happened. I don't know if it's your case in particular or if your case just kind of sealed the deal, but after that, they were very, very, very strong on how people were you know, like that kind of behavior on social media. Do you remember that?
Well, yeah, so it was MySpace. That's how old the cyber stalking was. And so he stalked me on MySpace. And that's what was so wonderful about Playboy. And even at the time, NFL, we have all these amazing security people that worked for Hef, and they worked for, you know, the Bears at the time. And when this happened, they asked me for all the emails and they asked me for all the threats. And they basically, NFL security and the Playboy security, took this to, I think it was, I was living in Chicago at the time, took it to the police. They're the ones that put it all together. They're the ones that pushed for action. And had it not been for Playboy and NFL, who knows what the guy would have did. He was crazy. They confiscated his computers. They went after him. And every game I went to, I was pregnant at the time. He knew that my husband was a Chicago Bear. NFL security I'd walk in with it like an entourage of security. People were like, who's this pregnant woman with all these security? But it was like protecting me from this guy that was allegedly going to hurt me. And I didn't know when or where.
Wow,
I know,
that's scary. But let's take a quick break because I want to delve deeper into this. Everyone that's listening, man, we are so excited. We have Jen Archuleta. You know her as Jennifer Walcott, Miss 2001 August, correct? And we will be right back. We are Rogue Bunnies Mayhem. And we're back, Rogue Bunnies Mayhem. We have Jennifer Archuleta, who is actually giving us the deep dive on stalkers, man. That would have been a scary time, man. But what's crazy is that you said you've learned from it. So I kind of agree with you. You know, even all the stuff that we go through in life, we wouldn't be where we're at if we didn't probably go through that stuff.
Right.
Is that what you're relating to?
Yeah. I have a question though, because sometimes we talk or we see in the news and you know, ever since Hef passed, girls who kind of reflect on their Playboy days and kind of regret it. But you've obviously been through a lot. Did you think that your time at Playboy, it was more of like a getting your power back kind of thing, like reclaiming your power with your body, or like how did you feel about the obviously you said you felt safer because of the security and all of that, but how was like being in the magazine for you after being through all of that?
Well, I think like I said this, I think Victoria knows my back was against the wall. Playboy was not even a choice for me. It was like I had to do it. And it was just, people might laugh or they might get upset when I say this, but Hef was my guardian angel in a purple robe. I believe that 100%. People can say what they want to say about him, but I was in such a dark time in my life where, either somebody was going to kill me, my ex-boyfriend was going to kill me, or I was going to be arrested. And so I was on I was living in Chicago. I couldn't move back home to Ohio. I didn't want to put my family's life in danger. And I could not be in LA anymore because the FBI, and even though everybody knew everything and what was going on, they basically kept interviewing me and kept knocking on my door all hours of the night. And so I thought, I'm just going to move somewhere else. And then my lawyer told me if they really need you, which they don't, they know everything, they'll extradite you. And, that costs a lot of money. And so they're probably not going to do that. I moved to Chicago. I didn't know anybody and I stayed there and I basically hid. And I worked at a shop that was called Under Things. And it was like a Victoria's Secret. And that was my life. And then I got a phone call actually from the manager of my condo at the time, that she was like the property manager. She said, we all know what happened. We're so sorry. We saw you beat up all the time. We're the ones who called the cops. They said the FBI was watching you guys for 2 years and we used to steal your trash and give it to the FBI. Like it went
Wow.
So, and then there was this guy, he was a good looking guy. He was my next door neighbor. He always had a girlfriend, but I guess they broke up. And they said, look, we're so sorry this all happened to you. Why don't you come to LA and just let's all talk? And I just thought it was so weird, but I had no friends. I'm in Chicago. I kind of missed my home. LA was where
What did they want to talk about?
And so I didn't even have money to buy a plane ticket. I was working at a retail shop. They bought me a plane ticket and I came out and I visited this Kathy and this guy, Danny, and we all just talked about what had happened for the 2 years. They were kind of nosy. They wanted to know what I knew, I think, whatever. And so then she said, I've got this like makeup job at the Playboy Mansion. I know you're a freelance makeup artist. It was in honor of Kylie Bax. Do you want to go there and do this? And I thought $500, shoot, I'll do it. And that was the hustler in me. I got to get back to Chicago. And so I assisted this makeup artist and we just got the painted girls ready. And then I thought, I'm going to go to that party. And the butlers came downstairs and they're like, you guys got to go gather your things. Can't really attend the party. And I'm like, I'm just going to go. So I brought an outfit and I did not know that it was like, I just thought all these mansion parties were, lingerie and all this stuff. And it wasn't like true lingerie, thank God. But it was this beautiful red bikini top and a sarong. And it was Valentine's Day, ironically. Here's how all the things just always work. And I came up the stairs because I was in the gym and I was wearing this beautiful red outfit on Valentine's Day for Kylie Bax, and the BBC was there and they were like, oh, she's a Valentine's Day surprise. What's going to happen? And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And then Hef called me over to his table and I thought, oh my gosh, the man himself is going to kick me out.
Yeah.
And I was
Shoot.
But I was also excited because I'm like, I'm going to make the tabloids. There's something good's going to come out of this. And he said, who are you? And I had had a couple of drinks by then. And I said, who are you? And he laughed.
Good move.
Yeah. And they captured that moment on, there's like a picture I could send it to you guys. And he said that Christy was going to call me. And I thought, no, she's not going to call me. Sure enough, the next day they called me and they asked me to test to be a Playboy Playmate. And it saved my life. I had instant money. I had instant fame, which protected me. Back then, Current Affair was there. O.J. Simpson wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, had just died and was murdered. And they were taking battered battered women very seriously. And so I had Hef protecting me. I had the money, and I had this instant family. I lost everybody. Everybody went to jail, or they were afraid to talk to me. And I lost everything. And overnight, I got it with my little guardian angel and the purple robe.
Awesome.
Awesome. I forgot you did that whole thing with the makeup, and that's how you that was like that's what kind of got you in and got you seen by Hef and everything. I mean, Hef liked you instantly. He thought you were great, and you actually hung out with him a lot with the girls. You went out quite a bit. He invited you out on the town and stuff quite a bit, right?
Yeah, and I was, again, and I keep saying this, but I was all about the money. And so I never turned down a job. And so I was just constantly not even in LA, and I was just always working for Playboy Promotions. But there was those times where, there's the social side of it. I was best friends with Kimberly Stanfield. I just loved her. I often wonder whatever happened to her. We were so close. We had the best time.
Playmate?
Yeah, she was a playmate, and she was my year, and we really, really connected, and we just had the best time, and we would just laugh and laugh and laugh. I think she ended up sleeping with my boyfriend at the time, but
Ooh.
that was the one that was the next door neighbor that gave all my trash to the FBI. So I guess, it probably wasn't going to work out anyways. But anyways, yeah, I went out with them. I thought it was fun. I loved the paparazzi, the limo rides. Barfly was awesome. I mean, it was just a fun time for Playboy, and being a part of that. I don't think anybody I don't know, and I could be wrong, and I don't want to say this, but I feel like after 2010, it was just different. I was so happy to be a part of that. But what I was not happy being a part of was I thought I was just going to be 4 or 5 pictures in a magazine that gets put away into some, cabinet and never seen again. I didn't realize the internet and the boom and just the cyber club. And that was when I came out, where I wasn't just a couple pictures, unfortunately. It was behind the scenes. You never saw this before, and that's what I think that might have made me think about it. Had I could have fast forward or had a crystal ball, just how much stuff is out there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of stuff.
And when you did a show, you did Amazing Race and things like that, Playboy would come to you and they'd be like, well, do you want to shoot again? And we can use your pictures and put you back out there, or we'll just take your old pictures and we'll resurface them. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I always hated all my pictures. Well, I look better now. I'm more in control of my hair and my makeup. So I'm going to just shoot again. I remember Lauren Michelle Hill, and I still talk to her and I love her. She would never shoot. And I'm like, what, Lauren, they're going to use your stuff. Just shoot. And she's like, nope, I'm not shooting. I don't care if they use my old stuff. And I wish I would have taken her advice and didn't do all those shots. I was just always trying to look better in the magazine because I sometimes I didn't like the way they did my hair and makeup.
And then every time you shoot, it's another 1,000 or more pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have millions out there, and Lauren probably has 100,000. Who knows? But It is what it is. What can you do?
You're right. Yeah, the internet definitely took over. And then, of course, when Playboy sold, and then the new group sold all of our photos off, that was not helpful either. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. I was always glad to shoot again because I was like, oh, whatever, yeah, let's do it. like you, I was like, oh, I'm more in control of my hair and makeup and whatever. So I felt like I would have better pictures that would surface. But yeah,
plus it was money. It was, a day's work.
I got paid for it was a celebrity pictorial once I was on Amazing Race. So it was a whole nother paycheck, a big paycheck, actually, more than the Playmate money. But yeah, so I get what you're saying about that, and it's interesting. And I hung around you actually quite a bit. You and I worked together a ton in our costumes, and you posed for me many times for my personal artwork. And of course, you were one of the first girls I called when I wanted to do the Rogue Bunnies, which of course you liked the idea that there was no nudity and there wasn't going to be a slew of pictures. It was just the 4 and keep it simple. So now I understand why you thought that way in the beginning, but we're so glad that you became a Rogue Bunny, and you're obviously such a great popular playmate and everything. And I just want to say, I mean, this is making a joke and maybe it's not, but you had all these stalkers because you're so hot. And I haven't had
Oh
any
my God.
stalkers, so I just wonder if it's because I'm just not hot enough to have people
Stop.
with me.
Oh
But
my gosh.
problem at all.
There's still time. There's still time.
There's still time.
We're gonna get to geriatric stalker.
Yeah, but stalking can be scary.
Yes.
This is going to be weird, but I am going to admit it, and I've very few people know this. I actually had a stalker.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were a
No,
stalker.
I've actually had someone stalk me out because of the Girls Next Door show.
Mm.
It was,
Oh yeah, I bet.
it's freaky when you realize it. Like after the fact, when you realize you meet someone, you think it's all natural. And then you realize the whole thing's been a play and it's been a game, and that they've been following you and been watching, like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden you're like all freaked out, like, you know. So Jen,
Yeah, no,
I just kind of while
such
you
a
were telling
crazy-
that story, it was just kind of like through and through flashbacks for me. So yeah, it's kind of
Well,
weird.
you start to live your life differently. Like I'm very
Yeah.
appreciative of a lot of the things I do, and you know, just everything with my kids. But now I have a teenage son.
But you're in the limelight in a sense of your life, especially, I mean, when you married your husband, you would mention about, like, for doing your podcast, you know, women of the NFL, you know what I mean? and in that world, you're always out there. I noticed that, like you say, all of a sudden, once you get that feeling, I remember I used to go to clubs, and I kind of wanted to stay off with just the close-knit friends, going, this is kind of weird now that you're feeling like this vulnerability. And I mean, you're out there with your, you know, like I said, with your husband and stuff. I mean, how do you deal with that? Like, for the listener, you know, it's like you're still in that world and you have to live that world, but you still have this in the back of your head, like, shit, man, you know?
You just always got to be a badass. Like growing up where
There
I
you
grew
go.
up, like I said, my high school was the way it was. I'm still like a badass. I'm always watching my surroundings. I have street smarts. I you know, it's not something that I but my kids have street smarts. But speaking of stalkers, the stalkers that are scarier are the ones that are your friends. The ones that, you know, they have skeletons in their closets that aren't necessarily on the internet, but they're the ones that dig deep to hurt you. And that's the sad part too about being a mom of 3 kids and things like that. I've had these friends that, you know, like Victoria was saying earlier, people stole our images. There was nothing we could do about it. They put them on the unthinkable sites. And Britney Spears is on there too. I shouldn't probably say her name because she's kind of like out there in a different way now. But there's some A-list celebrities that shouldn't be on these websites as well. And they are. And so then a lot of moms would talk bad about me and say that I wasn't just a Playboy playmate. I was also these other things because I was on these websites. And I'm like, you got to dig pretty damn deep. And are you a member of those websites?
Right? How did you come across it, right?
Right. Why are you on those websites?
Yeah, like
in the
how
first
are
place?
you even on there? So there's all kinds of stalkers. It's really sad. And I think it's just something that, like I said, my life would have taken a completely different turn. I tell my kids all the time, you know, my cards were dealt and I had to play the hand that I was given. And that's what I did. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I have no regrets. And I live my life authentically me, unfiltered. Well, I mean, I was filtered back in the day, but now I just try to be as unfiltered as possible and authentic because I think that's what people can appreciate nowadays.
We're going to take a quick break, Jen. But I want to touch when we come back about, like, the world we live in where our photos are out there and we have AI now.
Oh, yeah.
What's real? What's not? We'll be right back. You're listening to Rogue Bunnies Mayhem.
Hi, this is Jennifer Archuleta, Miss August 2001, and you are listening to Rogue Bunnies Mayhem. Is that right?
Brett,
I'm leaving that in there.
clip.
Yeah,
Leave
you
the
have to.
whole
The whole
fucking
thing.
clip. That
Thank
was so cute.
That was perfect.
Hey, use whatever you guys want. I am like my own worst critic. Like if you guys like it, I can feel it.
That was
you.
fucking
That's
awesome.
That was
That was
perfect.
so
Okay.
good.
All right.
Was that
Segment 3 when you're ready.
All right, let's do this. Okay. All right, we are back. We are having a blast with Jennifer Archuleta, on Rogue Bunnies Mayhem. Right before we went to break, Jen, we were talking about like stalkers, and then we were talking about like in the fact that pictures are out there and people misusing them. I kind of wonder now also with the current AI stuff that we have, that people can like, put faces on anything, like I remember one time this is a long time ago when I was walking through Vegas and people are passing out those little flyers, you know what I mean? They're like supposed to be like, call girls or whatever that you could come to and I'm like going, wait a minute, I know her. And it'd be like different Playmates photos on different girls, but you could tell that they were put on. But today's AI shit that they can do, it's crazy, man. I just wondered, like all of you ladies, do you like think about those kinds of things? Like they could just grab photos and make them do whatever they want.
Well, yeah, I mean, they could make somebody look like they're cheating. I mean, who knows what's real nowadays? It's really scary. As long as they always make me look good, I don't care.
Yeah, use a good photo.
Don't make me look worse. Make me look better if you're going to AI.
Get hold of the website. Look, that was a bad angle. Can you redo this one again? We were on the break, and Victoria, you were talking about something.
Yeah.
Please bring that up again.
So Jennifer, I just recalled one of these. You and I worked together a lot, and I don't remember where we were. It might have been somewhere in Canada. I don't know, whatever. But we were in a bunny costume, and we were doing something for the slot machines or something. But we were in the hotel room, and you got an alert. You had just gotten some new place, and you had just decorated, and it was like you were telling me about white carpet. You had got this big flat screen TV and everything. You were really proud of it, and you got some alert that your house was broken into, and you're like too far away. And so you had cameras or you had something where you could see, and they had basically trashed the white carpet with muddy prints, and you were like so upset because you're like, oh my God, they're ruining my brand new white carpet. And
not that the fact that they broke in, they're ruining the white carpet.
You can replace it
either, but do you remember that?
I do remember that, but I don't remember specifics. But yeah, it's just like one of those things where your mind just goes where it shouldn't. I probably should have been more concerned that I had some thugs in my house like robbing me, but I was more concerned about the carpet. But
you're so upset about that. You're like, I just literally put the carpet in, and of course I had to choose white, and you were just so upset. You're like, the flat screen I can redo, but the carpet's going to be a whole nightmare to replace. And like, yeah, you were really upset about it, and I felt so bad for you, like. It was like in the middle of the night or something, and that it happened. So it was just really weird. But I'm like, wow, that's quite this. Now we have these ring doorbell, and we have all kinds of things now that are so easy to kind of install ourselves. But you had put quite a bit of money into putting some security system in, and so that you got to know that you were being robbed, but it didn't stop the robbery.
That was a lot of Playmate promotions and plane rides to have that white carpet and flat screen. So that just
that's right. You were not happy about it at all. I felt so bad for you. Yeah.
But no more well, obviously I have cameras, I have a good security system. Get yourself a Cane Corso, and then nobody will ever come in your house.
Yeah, that dog is yeah. Yeah.
That's my security system.
Jennifer, one thing I wanted to ask about is, can you tell us Forever Angels? Yeah. Give us the insight on that.
Yeah.
So my heart has always been, and I feel like Playboy has a lot to do with this as well. Always giver. I was always a giver. I always wanted to save something or someone. Some of my ex-boyfriends I saved too, some of the wrong ones. But I was always just very giving. I was a candy striper. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but he would wear this cute little outfit back when I was 12 years old, and I'd go to the hospitals and bring flowers to patients and cards and just smiles and things like that. And so I worked as a CASA, court-appointed special advocate for foster kids. I volunteered helping foster kids. I worked for a great organization called Child Help. And I also have a TDI dog that visits hospice, and he gives the elderly just hope and love. And so the Forever Angels to me is kind of just like cutting the red tape. My partner, Allison Kiefer, and I started it. It's like there's so many things where if you make a little bit extra money, you can't get that help, or maybe you just need hope. So the Forever Angels is like, a lot of times people don't rise up because if they do, they'll lose some of the help that they've been given. So the Forever Angels, we have social workers that help vet out people. And basically we help hospice, we help veterinarian clinics, we help local schools, local families. And basically all a social worker has to do is say, I know this family is struggling. They can't pay their rent. They can't, put food on the table, and we're not like the government. So it's like, if that's what you need, we're going to supply that to you. And then also it might be something, like we don't know what brings people happiness. And sometimes it's a single mom that just needs a Christmas tree and maybe some Christmas lights. And maybe they've got the ham and 3 people brought them a ham, but she really wants those Christmas lights. We're going to get you Christmas lights. So it's not just about giving you the essentials. It's also about giving hope.
What is the name of it? How do people find the charity?
So it's the Forever Angels, and you could become an angel or you could request an angel. And, we work all over the United States, and we're small. Again, it's like, I'm just checking my boxes, just like maybe 1 follower at a time on my podcast or 1 purchase of a book at a time. I am just touching 1 person at a time, my partner and I. And if we can do that, then I can just be happy and feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful,
awesome.
Jen. And you're right. It's 1 person at a time. I mean, that's all it takes. We change the world just by the 1 person next to us.
Right.
That is so cool, man. I love that.
My tagline, 1 person at a time. I like that, Brian.
Yeah.
Well, it is. I mean, like I have friends who are like, man, I want to do so much, and I go, dude, just take care of the 1 person next to you, man. And you just said it, and you're absolutely right. I used to help with an organization called Angel Tree, and it was for going and bringing Christmas to families whose like their dad would be in prison, and so the dad would like grab a thing and want to send their kids stuff. And it's surprising, like you just mentioned, the Christmas tree. You bring that little bit of like happiness and joy for a moment to know that they are loved and thought of. I think that's beautiful. That is just really cool.
Anybody wants is just to be loved and thought of. And it's interesting you say that, Brian, because that's where the Forever Angels came about, was the angels on the Christmas tree. My partner, Allison, just said we should be the Forever Angels, not just
see,
I
that's
thought
cool.
that was really sweet.
I think it's also cool that you had shared about like your past and your life and the struggle. I think it's when you do have that in your life that you get it. You're like, man, I wish someone kind of was there for me. Now I can be that person for someone else. We got to help this, ladies. We're going to promote this. We're going to be promoting this because I want to see Forever Angels like blow up and be just helping so many people.
I love that too, but it's also like people think too, like just animals. Like, my veterinarian, they had to put down a dog because the man couldn't afford the heart medication that the dog needed, and he's like, hold on,
man.
The Forever Angels. We have a pot of money here from the Forever Angels, and we'll supply you with the medication you need for your animal to live in the next couple of months until he figures it out. So it's just little things that everyone, I feel like, just save everything and anything, I'm the type of person that'll help a bee in a swimming pool though.
That's amazing that you're helping animals too. I think there's just, my God, there's so many animals out there, and like just in pounds and shelters and all the things. And it's just so sad. The animals break my heart more than the people. You know what I mean? Like the animals.
Well, they're helpless. That they rely on humans to care for them.
Well, and we forget about the elderly too, like hospice.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
And we're all going to be there one day. But even like hospice, those people are on their last days. Can we just give them a little bit of dignity and love? And, one woman just wanted a pair of headphones because she didn't want to hear her neighbor, and she wanted to watch her show. And they were $30 headphones. We were able to supply them with these headphones so they can all watch the Golden Girls or whatever they're watching, by themselves and not hear everybody's TVs blasting. We also got a dementia cat for an elderly man. It was like $100, but it gave him his animal that he can't have anymore. And then they were able to watch that and reuse it for another hospice patient, there's like I said, there's no red tape. That's what I love. We're going to reuse this stuff. We're going to give it to other people. You know, we're going to help people, and we're going to give people hope. That's it.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
You know, I like the fact that you have mentioned about like the elderly, because we are getting there. No, but I remember when I was younger, my grandmother worked for a convalescent home, and we used to go and perform little skits for the people there at the home, and you just go, wow, you know, you don't realize it. Wow, what you do to bring that joy to these persons that are there day in and day out, you know, and that little change, like you say, bringing the cat or whatever it be, just visiting, telling. I used to go read stories, and it'd be amazed how like everybody would just all of a sudden start gathering in just to hear someone read to them.
Yeah.
You know, it's the simple acts. I think Jen, what's cool about what you're doing with Forever Angels is not only the action that you are personally doing, but I think it's the philosophy that you're sharing, like on with us right now, is that hopefully people can hear this and go, wow, I can do that. Yeah. Why don't you help in your community? Help that person next door. Maybe how many people have a neighbor that probably never gets a visitor?
Yeah.
How cool just to go over and say hi. You know, that could change their entire world for that one day.
Or just make a little extra food. You know, my father comes over every Sunday. Through the week, I always make a little extra, and he takes home a week's worth of food. I think sometimes that's the only reason why he comes over on Sunday. Brian, the next time I come on here, we're going to see you at an old folks home doing your skit, and you're going to show us a video.
Me and my sisters used to dress up as the Village People, and we would perform like YMCA and Macho Man.
Oh my gosh, I would love to see that.
Well, I mean, I was like 8 years old, but you know what I mean.
Well, now we just found
Macho Man.
That's the entertainment for the party in Vegas.
Oh yeah, we had the big party. Jen, you got to come out. You got to come out to the big party that we got coming up.
You know what? Have I been invited yet?
It's on May 28th. We're just putting it together now.
I got to get an official invite, Brian.
Okay. Well, Victoria's going to be sending you an email right after this show. And come on out. And everyone, if you want to come out, come check out the event. Victoria, can you give the info?
Well, we don't have all the info just yet, but it's May 28th at in Las Vegas at we've secured the venue, but we're going to make more announcements coming soon.
That's awesome. Well, Jen, you have to come join us again. You have to. I mean,
I'd love to.
This has been really something I needed today. Seriously, I'm going through a pretty difficult time this year, and just hearing people wanting to help people is really kind of picking me up. So thank you. Seriously.
Well, I have to ask Brian. I feel like he didn't always like me. I felt like I was like a troublemaker.
What?
I know that you had to really like. There was a lot of stuff.
Now
you're not the first. You know how many people have said they were scared of me? And I'm like, I was doing my job. I was supposed to keep the rules and did do it, but I always dug on you, Walcott. I mean, you've always been very sweet.
Sometimes, though.
What?
We made it hard for you to do your job sometimes. I feel like
you were so scrappy, Jen. You were so scrappy. Oh my gosh.
I know.
You were feisty. You're like, if someone pissed you off, you're like, that's it. That's it.
But yeah, no, so I'm glad I love seeing all you. I mean, even Jennifer, like I don't know you that well, but it's just like there's just this immediate bond. It's like if you know somebody's from your hometown, you're like, oh my gosh, you're from here.
Yeah.
It's like I immediately am drawn to this family still. I just love all of you guys, and I miss everything. Oh, who's that?
It's Trace.
Hi, sweet.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry to interrupt everybody.
Okay. See you later.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap up, Jen. Thank you so much. We're definitely going to have you come back on the show. And congratulations with your new show. Hey, we'd love to come on.
You guys are going to be guests. We have some stories to tell. I want to get down to the good stuff.
Good.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm Brian Olea.
I'm Victoria Fuller.
I'm Jennifer Pershing.
We've been jamming out with Jennifer Archuleta, a.k.a. Jennifer Walcott.